Welcome back to another edition of Archaeological News, where I bring you fascinating stories from the world of ancient history. This week I'm talking about a skull cup discovered in Spain, new remarkable finds at Karahantepe and Göbeklitepe in Turkey, a new study into the Uluburun shipwreck, and an interesting Bronze Age burial in Kazakhstan. A recent paper published in the journal Plos details a new study into finds excavated from Cueva de los Marmoles in southern Spain between 1998 and 2003. The cave was used for the funerary deposition of at least 12 individuals between the late Neolithic and the late Bronze Age. This new study includes radiocarbon, anthropological and taphonomic analyses of the remains. The Marmoles cave was formed from natural hydrological processes and is located around 70 kilometers southeast of Cordoba. There are many prehistoric open-air and cave sites in the region dating from the early Neolithic to the Bronze Age. The Marmoles cave is at an altitude of 900 meters and has a length of 370 meters, making it one of the largest caves in the area. Initial excavations between 1982 and 1987 revealed an early Neolithic occupation of the cave, as evidenced by Almagro red slip pottery, post holes and charred cereals. The funerary use of the cave came later than this and was separated into 3 distinct phases, with hiatuses in between them over the course of 3,000 years. Human remains amounted to 111 bone fragments and 10 loose teeth, making up an estimated 12 individuals. The majority of the bones showed signs of manipulation, with cut, chop, and scraping marks present. It's possible that the bones were manipulated to access marrow for consumption. Since a cup made from a human skull and a tool made from a human shin bone were also found, it appears that bones were reused as well. Over the years, archaeologists have found many examples of bone manipulation at other ancient sites in the region. Skull cups have been excavated from the Cueva de la Cariguela in Andalusia and the Cueva de El Toro in Antequera. The authors of the paper suggest that the skulls were initially accessed for their brain tissue before being modified for secondary use as cups. It seems that caves used as funerary locations were meant to reflect dwelling spaces of the living, and that people visited these places to interact with their ancestors. The authors also mention that it's not clear why natural caves were sometimes chosen over megalithic structures for collective burials and vice versa. Perhaps each held a different meaning. For me, the standout part of this paper was the fact that the 12 individuals were from 3 separate periods over 3,000 years. If the cave had been used 3 times by whichever group or community lived in the area, I would expect there to be a lot more burials than a handful. So perhaps the space was preserved for specific people. Interestingly, the study also noted that there was no pattern with regards to age or sex. Anthropomorphic statue found at Karahantepe. Excavations carried out at various prehistoric sites in Turkey as part of the Tas Tepe project have revealed some interesting statues. In Enclosure D at the 12,000-year-old site of Göbeklitepe, the painted sculpture of a life-sized wild boar has been discovered. Standing on a pedestal decorated with the H symbol, a crescent, 2 snakes and 3 human faces, the wild boar also has traces of red, white and black pigment on its surface. At Karahantepe, which is roughly 50 kilometers from Göbeklitepe, a statue of a human standing at 2.3 meters high was found holding his phallus. It's remarkably similar in appearance to the high-relief carving of a man holding his phallus that was discovered at Seeberg in 2021. I did a video on that carving, which experts think forms part of the oldest narrative scene in the world. The statue at Karahantepe was found in a niche on the ground and may represent the deceased, considering that the ribs, spinal column and shoulder bones are depicted in a pronounced way. A sculpture of a vulture was found close to the statue on the wall, and several stone plates were also found on the ground nearby. The Tas Tepe, meaning Stone Hills project, has been ongoing since 2021. Archaeologists are investigating several Neolithic sites in the Sanliurfa region of Turkey, including Göbeklitepe, Karahantepe, Göbeklitepe, Seeberg, Çakmaktepe, Sefertepe and Yeni Mahalle. Let's face it, some seriously interesting and possibly quite bizarre stuff was going down in Turkey 12,000 years ago. I don't think for a second that this statue of a man holding his phallus is meant to represent the deceased, because why and how would he be doing that if he was dead? But it's great how there are now two examples of this particular type of statue, one at Karahantepe and one at Seeberg. It's also interesting how the vulture and the H symbol have made an appearance again in these two latest finds. New study re-examines the origin of tin ingots from the Uluburun shipwreck. In 1982, a Bronze Age shipwreck was discovered off the coast of Turkey containing an impressive amount of artifacts, including gold and silver jewellery, weapons, food and spices, and weights. Hundreds of copper and tin ingots were also found, which were important raw materials at that time because they were used to make bronze, a robust metal that transformed societies due to its many uses. There's been a lot of debate over the years as to the origin of tin ingots sourced during the Bronze Age because although copper ore is relatively common across Eurasia, tin is rarer and has a more sporadic distribution. A 2022 study published in the journal Science Advances used isotope analysis to pinpoint the source of the tin ingots recovered from the Uluburun shipwreck. The authors concluded that they had mostly come from Mushistan in Tajikistan and Anatolia. However, a paper published recently in the journal Frontiers in Earth Science suggests that the evidence put forward in the Science Advances research actually suggests origins in either the southwest of England or Israel. The authors also talk about archaeological and textual data that support or refute the isotopic and chemical analyses. During the Middle Bronze Age, a lot was written about the trade of tin, especially on cuneiform tablets. Much of that procured in Mesopotamia and Anatolia had an eastern origin. However, by the late Bronze Age, which the Uluburun shipwreck dates to, it appears that the tin trade network had changed considerably. Although exact details cannot be found in the texts of that period, a reconfigured trade network is hinted at. Furthermore, weighing systems from that time have not been found in Central Asia, which once again suggests that the export of tin did not take place there during the late Bronze Age. This is obviously a short summary version of the paper, which is very complicated and goes into a lot more detail about the scientific reasons why the isotopic and chemical analyses point to different ore sources than previously suggested. If you want to read more, it is an open access paper and details are in the description below. Bronze Age burial discovered alongside 180 animal ankle bones in Kazakhstan. Archaeologists working at a site in Ainabulak, Kazakhstan, have found over 100 Bronze Age burials since they started excavations in 2017. This August, they discovered yet another mound enclosing the burial of an adolescent girl who was laid to rest on her left side, bent over and wearing wire earrings and a beaded necklace. Grave goods included 180 astragalus bones from cattle or sheep. Astragalus means ankle. A bronze disc with a frog carving, a mirror, a bronze bowl, and several metal pommels. Pommels are the knobs on the end of sword handles. This is the first time a bronze disc bearing the carving of a frog has been found in Kazakhstan. In ancient societies, the frog was often associated with women in childbirth and water cults, but it's not clear what it meant to this culture and in this context. Archaeologists also aren't sure why the girl was buried with so many animal ankle bones. Although animal bones are commonly found as Bronze Age grave goods on the Eurasian steppe, especially with child or adolescent burials, the huge number of them is unusual. Experts think they probably represented some sort of cult practice or were used as symbols of good luck for the journey into the afterlife. I can get my head around frogs having some sort of symbolism and animal bones in general, since they were often associated with ritual feasting and are often found in ancient burials. However, why ankle bones? I do find that strange. It's very specific, isn't it? Let me know what you think in the comments. That's it. Thank you, patrons and channel members, for all of your support, both financially and in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel if you don't already. I'll see you next time.